recruit over the weekend visited Nebraska. Abu Lamin.
Good call. We'll run with that.
We're going to run with that. Abu Lamin. He committed to South Carolina, so Nebraska fans may be a little disappointed after that.
He rated the visit a 10 too, so Nebraska fans got pretty excited.
Yeah, I don't know. How often do you see a guy, take a visit to a school and then commit to a completely different school?
Pretty often.
That happens a lot?
Here's the thing. SC's been his leader during his recruitment pretty much the entire way through. He's a North Carolina guy, so going to South Carolina, he's getting to, not go home, but get closer to home and whatnot. So SC's been the leader the whole time, but it's a situation where Nebraska's like, hey, before you commit to SC, at least come check out what we have to offer. Obviously, he liked it and thought, he rated it a 10. I think he thought it was better than what he was going to see. But at the end of the day, they still weren't able to jump over SC. So you actually see it a lot. You'll get a school to encourage a guy to, hey, at least visit us before you commit. And, that's what we saw yesterday.
I got you. Yeah, if I was a recruit too, I'd probably do that. Weigh my options.
Free trip.
Right.
Well, why not?
Why not? Lamin is a 6'5", 315-pounder, defensive tackle. 4-star recruit, depends on which site you're looking at, but yeah, he's a pretty good player. So Nebraska, I'm sure they're disappointed to not get him, but they'll move on. Commits to South Carolina. Do you think that's a hard commitment? Do you think it's over with him?
From my understanding, yeah, it's pretty. He's been favoring them the whole time. And South Carolina is a good school. They're in the SEC. They're always a school in the top 20. It seems like so.
Sure.
I don't think that's a bad school to commit to, plus the fact that you're getting closer to home. From everything that I've heard about him, yeah, I think that's a pretty solid commit. There's some other guys out there, especially like there's another junior college defensive tackle named Claude Pallon, who's at Mesa Community College. He's a guy that's really interested in Nebraska. He's got them in Washington State right now as his top 2, the last I know. So there's some other opportunities to get a junior college defensive tackle. The thing is I don't know how big of a loss it is because I think we're going to talk about this in a minute. He comes in as a junior, and at that point you have Vincent Valentine and Aaron Curry on your squad as juniors. I think they're going to get Peyton Newell in this class here and down the road. So I honestly think that, I don't think this is going to be as big a loss as a lot of people want to make it out to be. Yeah,
that's exactly where I wanted to go. Do you think Nebraska's defensive line is on an upswing? Do you think there's quite a bit of talent in there?
Yeah, based on some of the comments from the coaches and based on how these guys were recruited out of high school, I don't think they're world beaters. I don't think you're going to see a defensive line where all 4 guys are NFL bound, but I do think compared to the talent that was on the roster maybe last year and this year, yes, I do think Nebraska's defensive line is on the upswing.
Well, yeah, Bo told us at Big Ten Media Days he thought the 2012 class, defensive line class that is, where he brought in Vincent Valentine, Aaron Curry, Avery Moss, and Greg McMullen, he said that was the best defensive line class he's ever recruited. Now, I don't know exactly how to take that because, is he counting those classes at LSU as his recruits or things like that?
I doubt it.
But yeah. But it bodes well for you if you're if you're Nebraska, you bring in some talent and 4 guys in the same class all along the defensive line that could play. We saw a few of those guys play a little bit last year. That Nebraska's trying to get those guys worked in. Here's my question to you: is there's all the optimism in the world at this point because the season hasn't started and it's preseason. It's what's going to happen. Well, I think Nebraska's defensive line last year got a lot of criticism. But the idea this year is, you wipe some of those guys out, you bring young, talented guys in, maybe it gets better. And do you think it gets better, or do you think it gets? Do you think it just stays about the same because it's you're trading out experienced guys for some young guys that we don't have quite as much experience, but maybe are a little bit more talented?
Yeah, I've been kind of saying this all summer. I think the defense is going to be really frustrating for fans because I think they're going to watch them at times, and that defensive awareness is going to be, definitely not as high as last year, and they're going to make some boneheaded plays. And people are going to be like, what was he thinking? But then there's also going to be these magical moments where you see a guy, chase somebody down on a sweep like they couldn't do it like UCLA last year. You're going to see these more athletic guys at times, and you're going to go, yeah, that play was just not made last year because these guys are way more athletic. They have way more speed. And I think that not only fits for the linebacker position, but I think that fits for up front too. I think when you look at the guys they've traded out, I think you see a lot more speed. You see a lot more athleticism on that front 4.
I wanted to ask you about Jason Ankra. I mean, what do you think about him as a senior? He was a pretty highly touted guy coming into Nebraska. Maybe hasn't quite panned out exactly how they wanted him to. Yep. Do you think he has maybe a breakout season?
You hope. I know that from everyone that I've talked to over there, his spring was a pretty solid one, and that he really is kind of taking this leadership role on. And you have to wonder too if with this leadership role and in this crease role and in the film room that if he picks up on some things that maybe can help his game. I think if you're the Nebraska coaching staff, I think if you're the Nebraska fan, you really hope that his that he has that breakout season, because you really kind of need that up front, because he's the one guy that brings some defensive awareness. And I guess you got Thad Randall coming back. It sounds like he's healthy, so that helps as well. But you really hope that Ankra has that breakout year.
Okay, so Nebraska, I mean, you say it might be kind of frustrating this year for fans. I mean, you might see some plays where the explosiveness is there, but you might have some plays where there's a mental breakdown too as well. Which of those, if you had to project right now, the Nebraska defensive line? I mean, you have Ankra starting.
Yep.
Who else do you have in there?
I would have Ankra starting. I would have Aaron Curry. I would have Thad Randall, and I would have Avery Moss is my starting lineup.
Okay. And what do you think about Vincent Valentine? I mean, a guy who is pretty huge, pretty physically imposing right now, but maybe needs to lose a little bit of weight.
I don't know about necessarily lose a little weight. I mean, I don't know if that probably wouldn't hurt him. I think the biggest thing with Vincent, and we even saw somewhat signs of this coming out of high school, and you never want to bash a kid, but I think Vincent needs to learn in a hurry, and this is coming from the coaches too. That the things that he did in high school, he necessarily can't do at this level. When he was in high school, he was so much bigger than everybody else that it was just kind of I'm going to bull rush over people. I don't need to work on my technique. I'm bigger and I can push everybody around. And I think he got used to that. And yeah, he was a dominant force, but you could kind of see that when he was going to get to the next level, if he didn't change, it was going to hurt him. And that's what the kind of coaching staff is trying to encourage and let him know, like, hey, you can't just, bull rush these guys, because these offensive linemen are just as big as you. And also there's been some concern about, he's really good for 3 or 4 plays, but then he's been known to take, plays 5 and 6 off. And I think in high school he could do that. And he could probably even get away with it just because he was so big that even if he took a play off, he still could be, a factor. Obviously you can't do that at this level in the Big Ten, even with his size. And so I think you look at Vincent Valentine, I think he's going to be a backup to Thad Randall at this point if Thad's healthy. I projected actually out of high school that Aaron Curry would be the better defensive tackle. The two, when you looked at the whole career-wise, I still think Aaron Curry has a shot at making the NFL someday if he develops his body. I really like him. And I think right now, I think Aaron Curry is a little ahead of Thad Randall, and I think a little ahead of Vincent Valentine. And I think Aaron Curry also complements Thad Randall a little bit better. Thad Randall's more that Vincent Valentine type, that run-stopping, big defensive tackle, that plugger, where Curry's more that speed rush guy on the inside, shows his athleticism. So I think those two really complement each other well.
It's Morning Take, 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Talking with Josh Harvey here of Big Red Report. He's in today. He's in for Jake Sorensen, who is out on a family function today. I wanted to get to a couple topics that were at Big Ten Media Days, were pretty big deals. Just get your thoughts. What do you think of the new leadership system with the captains and the assistant captains? You're shaking your head at me. What do you think?
I'm just thinking it's being overblown, to be honest.
Yeah?
Yeah, I mean, I think that over the years, the guys have known on the team who the leaders are.
Sure.
Yeah, it's cool that they're going to get to wear the C patch or whatever that we've heard about and whatnot, but it reminds me of the Mighty Ducks movies. Have you ever seen those movies?
Right, yeah.
But Charlie gets his
Gets
C.
the C.
Yeah. Go get him, Captain. But I don't know. I just kind of felt, I was really surprised at how much ink that got. And I was guilty of it too. I wrote about it. But I was surprised how much talk that has gotten since Big Ten Media Days and since they released the fact that there's captains and then also sub-captains.
Yeah, I said on our show yesterday, I think it just kind of formalizes, what already was.
Yeah, exactly.
And there already were captains. It worked its way out. There were just certain guys that were more vocal than others, or that were, just natural leaders. And
yeah, if people thought that the 4 people that were coming out to the field every week were that week the leaders in practice
Right.
and stuff, and no, that's not how it was working.
Well, I think it's more it's not a big deal in winning games or changing anything that ever happens on the field. I just think I think the other system was just a little bit hokey to me because, like you said, it was like just picking 4 random guys, kind of at what do these guys have that other guys don't? Why? How did you choose those guys? And that was just kind of a weird deal.
The one thing that I do like about this new system, which I don't remember which player it was that I was listening to audio from over the weekend, but they talked about the fact that now that they have the sub captains at the position, that they can kind of report to that guy, and then the sub captains can talk to the assistant coach, and so everybody's not trying to get an earful.
Ciante was saying
okay, Ciante. I remembered one of them was talking about it when I was listening to the audio. I think that system probably will be a little more efficient because I think there was times last year where everybody was yelling, and not just in the Wisconsin game, but I think there was moments where everybody was trying to get a word in, and I think this way, things might get fixed a little quicker, just with the hierarchy system.